We have a few books we need to read. We need to read this. You read this, and this, and this, and this. Fine, here we go. Let's read this person up. If you're reading this book, it must mean there's something you want to know about me. I'm sure you have lots of questions, but I sadly can't give out detailed answers. It's hard to come up with a definition and explanation for a power that naturally emerged. You see, how should I put it in that case? I can travel through time and space and see a myriad of possibilities, too many for you to possibly fathom. It's probably a little different from time travel as you commonly imagine it. The future self who experienced a certain past returns to it in order to change the future. Whatever's going on in the past, some kind of paradox is bound to happen to casualty. Big or small, little things can set off massive twists, like the flap of a butterfly's wings causing a tornado. And even, I'm afraid of bearing that risk. It could turn to a cycle of meaningless struggles. Yeah, I guess it's fair to say that I traveled to a completely different space. Ever thought about the possibility that an infinity of different versions of the world you live in might exist? Let's say that you sidetracked on your way home and were killed by some syndicate members that ambushed you. But in another world, you might have decided you want to go straight home, and the assault would have never happened. Or you might have noticed the syndicate members assuming you stepped into the wrong alley and quickly got back on track. The small choices can add up and result in countless worlds where countless outcomes unfold. I know what you're thinking. This isn't logic that can realistically be proven. I know all of this sounds unbelievable. People can't understand me because of that. And even I have difficulty explaining myself. It made it sound so grandiose, but this power isn't almighty by any means. Though I try not to use it carelessly. Not that I expect you to care for such details. It's already complicated enough as it is, isn't it? Just know that this power isn't omnipotent. No power is conveniently given to you in this world, after all. There's always a price you need to pay, and there's a world I yearn to reach. No matter that price, I'm doing this so I can find the world where I can see that possibility. And in many worlds I've seen, too, while doing this job, I saw many people who were lost after losing their precious stuff, just like me. I couldn't just pass them by. They looked so miserable and pitiful. Well, it wasn't entirely out of goodwill. The fact that they were worth helping played a big part. Once again, nothing in this world is free. I didn't quite pity them as much as I weighed up the favors they could give me in return. Thanks to that, I've become acquainted with quite a few fixers, and as corny as it to say this myself, some even started calling me their mentor, and became my devoted admirers. Lots of people ask me what I'm going to such great lengths to see. A leading figure that commands powerful fixers who are on the level of color? I don't know. All I want is to meet my son, whom I had to part with in the most unfortunate way, meaning I don't care about the ancillary stuff. I can see it so faintly. It almost seems to be within my reach, but it always ends up being a mirage. Okay, you know what? I'm wondering. It's Roland, her son. I feel like it's a possibility. Because he went through an accident, right? What if in the accident he dies, and not his wife? And so she went traveled worlds to try and see him. He got teleported here, right? And simply no one else can go to this place. But we saw Purple Tear teleport here like no biggie. Well, teleport on a different library floor, so that should be blocked, but it wasn't. So I think he might be related to her. Okay, anyways, let's read this up. Have you ever seen a glimmer of light when you close your eyes? It's blindingly bright at times, and it shapes in an irregular shape at times. This sensation is often called a phosphene. Whenever I close my eyes, the blurry image of a blood-stained carpet appears to me like that optical phenomenon. The beginning of an unpleasant nightmare. 4 mannequins had lost a face and an arm, each are lying on the carpet, spilling red beads. Another mannequin has its hand on my shoulder. I turn around and look at the loudspeaker at the mannequin's face. I can feel the vibration coming from it, even though I can't hear what it says. But I already know what sound this mannequin is making. The vibration precisely matches the words I remember, and my heart starts beating accordingly. The stinged power of recall lost all my good childhood memories to oblivion, yet it brings back such remembrance every time I close my eyes. My response to it is always the same. Take the flower that slipped into my hand and nail it into the mannequin's heart. A beautiful tree in bloom grows from the cracks the flower made. It's as soft as the hands that caressed me, and it's as pretty as the sound that consoled me. and it's as sharp as the noise of the last moment when I was scolded for the first time. Every branch that grows from the tree causes a piercing buzz in my ears, and the petals hurt as they brushed past my cheek as if to make me feel the pain they hold. I stand still like my feet were tied, until my body is covered in scars. 1, 2, black marbles fall from the wounds. How long have I been in this cycle of pain? The nightmares have been with me for a good majority of my life. If I close my eyes, the memory of that time haunts me, and if I open my eyes, a reality I can hardly bear unfolds. I chose to keep my eyes shut because I thought I'd rather deal with the ever-echoing past. At least I won't be visited by new kinds of pain. Prescripts keep coming without a break. The city folk meet different ends depending on the prescripts they receive, though their fates all share a commonality of cruelty. Their resentment screams tears, rage, and death. It's too much for my eyes. I sometimes thought how my life would have been if I stayed as a commoner taking prescripts like them. Maybe I was better off back then. Maybe I should have just died early so I could breathe again as another being. Why did the prescripts give me that order that day? I traced back the nightmare to remember the past. Everything was over, and I planned to follow them to death, but I didn't have the courage to end my own life. So I picked up the prescript that I thought would spell my doom at last and read it slowly. All the fresh-looking prescript contained was a command to be a messenger. It was pointing towards the beginning, not an end. I couldn't see a single word that said anything about salvation or death. After being up for a while, I finally tumbled down to the floor and broke into laughter louder than any sound I'd made before. I couldn't help but laugh at my state. I wanted to end my life because of prescripts, and now the prescripts won't even let me do that. Where has my free will not run off to? That's kind of depressing. Now these ones aren't as long, which is good. Getting a bit of water though, that's for sure. Yeah, that feels good. An association seems to have taken an interest in the library and the Blue Reverberation. The two entities at the center of all the problems that have been happening in Elcorp's Nest lately. Now that they've marked their presence in the city's sky of stars, I asked a caller who happens to be a friend of mine about it. And he said the association's going to recruit him to hunt down the Blue Reverberation and its cohort soon. They've been making quite a scene in Elcorp's Nest. In particular, the lives of many syndicates, fixers, and residents close to the library were lost to their hands, so the association couldn't just sit and watch anymore. They've apparently set up a camp at the door of the library, though no one knows what they're waiting for. A couple other things I heard are that all sorts of sound are coming from that camp, and that a large number of firearms belonging to the Somme were abandoned on the ground. Maybe they launched an assault on the syndicate while it was still struggling to recover from the loss of the underboss and his capos. The ensemble's not like most syndicates, just that's for sure. But we still don't know what the goals really are, and I can't shake this bad feeling. Anyway, since I was asked to pay a visit to the library, it'll be worth investigating the case some more after I get this job done. Bit more. The message we got wasn't expected. The boss of our organization had always been a rash one, and he had no patience with injustice or for his own purity. It was a miracle that he managed to stay under the Somme for so long. I told him to be more careful since his words and actions as the boss will affect his underlings as well. Yet here we are. I thought I'd flip my lid at hearing the news, but I didn't feel as much anger as I expected to. The only thought that came to my mind was that he'd finally done it. With my head cool, I calmly considered my next move. At least some of us will also make it out of here thanks to the early warning. It's usually a good idea to zip your mouth shut at the gathering of some subsidiaries. If you don't have any good suggestions to make, shutting up is the next best contribution you can make. Never be sure if what you're about to say is a good opinion either, so just sock it in general. In other places, mistakes would just cost your own life. But losing your credit in meetings like that means the members of your syndicates are also biting the dust. What did we do wrong to deserve the punishment for our boss being a moron? We are Ujat. While it's a grade 1 office on the surface, we only receive requests from one person. It exists solely for Lady Diaz and Lady Diaz alone. We're ready to perform any feat that she demands. Her pure ambition will bring her to a position of great power one day. We simply serve as stepping stones for her ascent to the top. Oh, no, that's all red. The thumb. Well, let's prepare the new page.